Hey, crypto heads, it's the Goose with the Cryptic Paranormal Show. We have an awesome show for you guys tonight. First, I want to thank everybody for showing up, coming on the show, and hanging out with us tonight. It's going to be a good time. We are still waiting for Amy Perry Lane to sign in. She's having some computer issues. So be patient with us while we get her on, but we'll go ahead and get the show started. How's everybody doing tonight?
Fantastic.
Good.
Always good.
Heisenberg, you doing all right down there?
I'm on the wrong thing.
What? You're on the wrong thing. Oh, there's Amy.
I thought I was on Sean's show.
No, you're on ours tonight. And there's Miss Amy Perry Lane. Hello.
There's Amy.
I had to figure out what was using my camera, so
Oh.
hopefully I remember passwords. If not, I'll worry about that when another show implodes.
Yeah. So thank you guys all for coming on. Hello, Michelle. We already got some followers chiming in. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming on the show. Yep. So
I'm not getting any comments on mine.
I don't know how to help you, brother. Let's see. I don't know. You're not getting anything, Mike? Are you okay? You doing all right? We need to call
No.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on. You guys are all sounding robotic and moving around.
And there he goes.
Yeah.
There he goes.
Looks like it was a problem on his end. All right. So let's get the show started.
Eddie.
We're always starting off with some kind of technical issue,
Right.
such as 2020. But I had this idea to have some friends on who I think all agree with me, and we're going to go around and introduce everybody. Some of you may know them already. We have different followers every week, different people watching the show, so we'll get to know everybody. But the overall general kind of subject of the show tonight is there seems to be a really cool thing going on in the paranormal world right now. There's this like neo spiritualistic era push, this new, it's a rebirth, really. I feel and those of us that are a lot more open-minded and kind of really interested in digging back. There's Heisenberg. There he is.
Nice.
Hey, he's back. Everything okay now? You good?
I can't understand a single word you said.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, I thought.
You know what? I don't need to. I'm just gonna randomly chime in with comments.
Right.
All right.
I don't have any comments here. Oh wait, there we go. But I'll just randomly say some shit, man.
All right. So just like any other show, it'll be a normal night.
Yeah, except I don't know what you guys are saying, so it'll be fun.
Well, you just heard. You responded in time. You must be hearing something.
I got you now.
Okay,
We'll
cool. So, what I was saying is I wanted to have these folks on for a paranormal panel discussion and kind of like get their ideas on this new push that we seem to have going on. There's a lot more involving with tarot card readings. Ouija boards are coming back. They've been coming back for a while. Spirit boxes. That's why we got Jeff and Joe is a spirit box builder. What's that?
Tea leaves.
Oh, tea leaves. Yeah, you're reading tea leaves now. But just a really cool era we're in, and I thought it'd be cool to have some friends on that I know that are kind of into this and well respected in our area in the field, and answer your questions and how you guys are feeling on how this whole new push is going. It's really exciting to me. It's something I love talking about, being very open-minded and free-willed about it. So let's go around. First of all, we'll start with Joe. Why don't you introduce yourself, Joe, to some of the listeners or watchers that are tuning in.
Oh, the Watchers.
The Watchers.
Hey, that sounds pretty cool. It sounds like a new show we can on A&E, The Watchers. I'm Joe PIERI, just the average Joe. I'm just like everyone else out there. I'm fascinated with paranormal, spiritualism, and voodoo, hoodoo, Ouija, all thrown into one big pot, and that's who I am. I own a store in Depew, New York, that's just outside of Buffalo, New York, called Paranormal Oddities. We just did some renovation in here, so everything is updated and new. It's looking pretty good, ready to roll for 2021. I'm going to scratch 2020, put it behind me.
Yes.
But you roll with the punches, you know?
Right.
We also have a paranormal team called Paranormal Crossroads. Been doing live broadcasting since 2009. It's something I have a passion for. It's to be able to share what we do in the field live with people at home who can't get out and do it. And that's why we started it over 10 years ago. And it's still going. It's going strong. I'm loving life. I always say, you know what? Life is good. Enjoy the ride, because when it's over, you're going to hear me on the voice recorder.
That'll be an interesting conversation.
Well,
sure.
I'll spill the beans. I promise. I'll let you know everything.
Awesome. Awesome. Then we'll all be out of a job.
Yeah.
We'll know everything then. All right, so let's go to Jeff Fent, Mr. Box Builder. What's your origin story, sir? Where do you come from? How did you start this thing?
Well, I'm Jeff Fent. I reside in Columbus, Ohio. I've been pretty much investigating for about 20 years now. I've sort of eased off on the investigating and just started building these ghost boxes. And pretty much, if I'm not building ghost boxes and not working, I'm out helping a venue like the old Fairfield County Infirmary, getting that ready so Adam could open it up. But that's about all I've been up to.
Yeah, that's enough. I mean, it seems like you've got quite the selection of ghost boxes you're working on.
No.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the Scooby-Doo van, the mystery machine.
Oh, I know, right? We're all kids at heart, and we want to see that thing run.
Yeah.
Well, somebody up in Detroit bought it.
Nice.
Is it gone already?
What's that?
It's not gone already, right? You're going to show us when it's done.
It's gone.
Oh.
But I got another one sitting here. I'm gonna duplicate them as long as I can find the pedals. I'm gonna keep duplicating them. They're really cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, oh man, that is beautiful. It's Scooby-Doo box. That's
Yeah,
just perfect.
I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, Jeff. Thanks for being on the show tonight with us, and
You're welcome.
we're excited to dive into what you do with these spirit boxes because they're amazing.
They're amazing.
Man. Super.
They're amazing.
Amy, I need your box.
Well, watch how that's said.
Whoa! I'd say this is a family show, but it's not really.
I know we do have to schedule a time where I can kind of get down there.
Or I'll get up that way.
Yeah, I was going to say, or we can meet in the middle since New York is so strict and we're pretty much landlocked now.
Oh yeah.
Joe can relate to that. Yeah, we're not allowed in and out of the state anymore.
Wow. Oh.
Joe's going to get sick of me real quick now.
Never.
So what about you, Amy? What's your story? How did you start getting into the paranormal? And obviously you come from a different, because you have that ability, you have that sensitivity, and you're into a lot more of the spiritualistic stuff yourself. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, your experiences thus far.
I always say that my mom fostered a weirdo. This basically, I thank my mom all the time. Basically, a lot of it came from my mom. I mean, it was something that she was interested in and still is. She kind of showed me all kinds of different avenues, from psychic stuff to ghost stuff to I was that little kid in school back when. Remember when you could order books from school?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, like scholastic books. Yeah. I was that one that ordered the one with Bigfoot and Loch Ness and that lady in white on the cover. I was a little kid in first grade. So I've always, to me, it's just always been a part of who I was or who I am. Look, I'm speaking of myself in the past tense.
Who I was? Oh, come on.
So it just kind of progressed through the years. It kind of stalled out for a little bit, just because I was married to somebody that did not like any of it. So I kind of put that on the back burner. And as that came undone, I came out guns a-blazing, and here I am. So I got back to my roots. I'm a spiritualist. I'm also, I don't say Wiccan, I say witch, because I don't do Wiccan practices. So I'm a spiritualist witch. A lot of people probably call me spiritualist bitch, or I'm a little bitey, even though I am very into the spiritual aspect of things. But I never sugarcoat things either. I'm always empathetic, but I don't sugarcoat, because some of us need that shove to kind of get on the right path or get going where we need to be. So that's a little bit of me. I'm like a mom with tarot cards. I'll nag you where you need nagged at, and then I'll hug you where you need hugs.
That's awesome. How did you get into the tarot card reading? Is that something that you grew up, or did you just find like a connection to them and you got some?
I've been interested in them for a long time. I had one deck probably for about 20 years. It just sat in a drawer. I would look at them and go, that's too involved. I don't feel like spending the time learning all of this, memorizing. You know, I was wrong, like everybody else that starts. You think it's all about memorizing it. Right. And if you do that, your reads are robotic and not on point. And just like everything else that I seem to fall into, it keeps lining up that it's in your face. You know, everywhere I went, there was a tarot class being offered, or everywhere I went, somebody was talking about tarot or asking me if I read tarot. So my guide said, like it or not, you're going to read tarot. So I started that. And just like with ghost hunting, and just like with, I'm attached to the Hinsdale house. Everything kind of falls in your lap where you're supposed to be.
Now, you also, are you still involved? Is Paranormal Expeditions still, or Para Expeditions?
Are you guys? 2020, shot that in the ass.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No.
No, you're fine.
Don't worry about it.
How dare you?
We have a lot of different things to take into consideration. The only one we were honoring at this point was the Hinsdale house. And that gets a little dicey, because you got to now check with what state are people coming from.
Yeah, right.
So, and so we're going to, put things on hold and, like Joe said, look towards making 2021 spectacular and fun. Because although we can do the group investigations and, share buildings with people with masks on, it's just not the same. We'll honor the couple that we have, and then, like I said, kick ass in 2021.
Right. Actually, Susan Jane had a quick question for you, Amy. She wanted to know if you were born an empath, psychic. Is that something you were born with, or something that came to you a bit later?
I'm probably born an empath, because my whole life I heard, toughen up, get a thick skin.
Yeah.
Is somebody going? Does anybody else hear that?
I hear it, but I don't think it's somebody saying that. I think it's somebody's microphone or something.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. I hear typing, which is fine. But and my mom has abilities. So a lot of people in my family have abilities. We've always just kind of had a knowing for things. Really good read on people. I really try to trust my gut on that, because usually when I don't, I get burnt. It kind of starts from there.
Awesome. What's that?
I said I mean.
I'm going to scroll. Ray. Yeah, it's my fault. It's always my fault. We had a question earlier, and this might be probably a good question for you, Joe. From Brittany Danielle. She wanted to know, are you able to monetize your love of the paranormal? Is it strictly a hobby? And I think you've kind of found a way to do that.
Well, it's funny. It started off as a hobby. Now it's grown into almost my life. I hate to say it. I retired from UPS about 3 years ago. Instead of doing the average thing, sitting back, drinking a few iced teas by the lake, I decided to open a paranormal store. Now I'm knee deep in it. I'm in it 24/7. I love every second of it.
Yeah.
I've learned so much from incredible people like Amy. I'm learning each and every day, and I just wish I was 20 and I can start over, because I didn't really get into this until not the paranormal, but the spiritual side, until maybe my mid 40s. And I've noticed that everything seems to tie in. All religions seem to tie into one big, how shall I say, umbrella format. We all fall underneath that umbrella. But I've noticed myself opening up more. I'm getting more and more messages each and every day. I meditate every day, and I incorporate it with the paranormal. And I'm actually starting to find, when I do investigate, I'm connecting without tools. And now I know how Amy must feel when she goes out in the field, but I'm starting to get more visions, more messages.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if I kind of like that yet. I kind of like finding it myself through technology and through the investigations. But again, I'm actually, my store is incredible for paranormal activity. I've had a bunch of mediums come in this week to try to figure out what's here, and they all seem to say the same thing, because the activity has increased tremendously in the last month. I don't know why, but we're getting a lot more visuals, a lot more voices are coming through without voice recorders or ghost box. It's fascinating. Again, if I can encourage all the youth out there, if you're looking into the paranormal, highly suggested. It's a great field. Spiritualism, same thing. Open yourself up. Don't put the horse blinders on and say, all right, this is red, this is green, this is blue. Open yourself up. Mix the colors together. You're going to see so much more than what we're told at a young age. And I mean, I'm not going to tell anyone how to live their life, but try to open yourself up a little bit. You're going to be amazed at what's out there.
Right. Now, you yourself, are you getting into tarot card readings? Is that what I'm seeing on Facebook? Yeah.
I'm starting to do more and more tarot card reading. It's kind of impressive. I try to do one card reads for my wife and my son every morning. We sit down, I'll flip a card, and I'm getting better at it. I'm relying on the messages coming from my spirit guides. I've noticed that I've opened up more. I had closed it earlier in life because I didn't want it. Ever since I had the store now, it's like, boom, it's wide open. And I think it's also working with people who are spiritualists, who are mediums, who are empaths. I've noticed that I'm opening up more. I can get what they're getting. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a medium, that's far from it, but I'm starting to connect more and more to that side.
Yeah.
We rub off on you.
Yes, you do, Amy. And I love you for that.
And Jason will I watched Jason grow leaps and bounds, being very empathetic, and he's always been a very nurturing, caring person. But I'll watch him, read my thoughts. Sometimes I'll get ready to say something and he'll send me a message that was that, and I'm like, see, and you start being like who you're around. So
yes, I agree.
Yeah, I have to agree with that too, because my background comes from the first group I work with, and Jeff knows the first group that I worked with before Dark Alley. A certain someone I worked with was the whole focus of the group was to debunk everything, which I didn't really see that until I got into the group and started actually working with them more, and then experimenting with different types of equipment. And God forbid you even use like a pendulum or a Ouija board. You're just, that's not scientific. You don't do that in investigation. So, once I got into Dark Alley, we definitely opened up a lot more, and then even more so along the way. And it's been an awesome journey for us to be able to experience that. I mean, I even bought my own set of tarot cards, and they've been in a bag, and I'm like I don't know how to start, and you're gonna pick on me, but they're Game of Thrones.
No, I'm not gonna pick on you.
Never.
Well, yeah, Michael. But they've been in the box, and I'm like, I don't know why I've been hesitating so much to pick them up and just start working with them. But as readers yourself, like Amy, how would you suggest I start? I mean, how do I?
I know that sounds really, really lame.
Yeah.
Because when we do that, maybe I'll start it later. Or I'm waiting for the right opportunity. Or I'm waiting for this phenomenal information to come to me. You're just gonna have to start looking at them. I would suggest, like Joe, doing a card a day.
Yeah.
Familiarize yourself with the book means.
Yeah.
Then throw it out, because you're gonna look at the card and you're gonna look at the imagery in the card and you're gonna look at the colors and you're gonna see what you and write down what you got out of that card. You know what I mean? So every day, pick a new card.
Okay.
When I first started, I used to do a card and then sleep with it under my bed so that card energy could kind of blend with me for a little bit. That was a little technique that I did for a while.
Yeah.
And every deck is different, so.
Right.
But I thought it was cute. I'm like, no, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to pick the decks that call to you.
Okay. I'm going to try that. I'm going to pull that box out and stop hesitating and just give it a shot and see where we go with it.
You can try it on me, Goose.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, every morning at 5 o'clock when I wake up, I'll throw a card and call you directly.
Let's not get crazy.
But no, that's good advice. I'll start reading for myself and my family. My family is actually quite open-minded to it themselves now. So as long as I'm not trying to do any Ouija board action in the house, they're cool. So I'm interested, Jeff. You do a lot of communicating through your spirit boxes. How has that affected your ability to interact like without the tool, like when you're walking through a place? Do you notice that's working with the boxes so much? Do you think that's heightened your ability to see and hear things without the box? Does it make you more sensitive?
Yeah. It's I've noticed that over the past few years. It seems to have made a major difference in how I see things and feel things, especially if I walk into a new location. I'm much more sensitive to everything around me. I don't even. I mean, I'll go to some places and I won't even take my boxes. I just take the place in. It's sort of like I experience more not using a box sometimes than I do using one. So
yeah, but they're still an amazing tool. I mean, what goes into these boxes when you make them? I mean, it's got to be a lot of that something spiritual's going on there when you put these together. Because I know just because of the way I feel around my box, I already felt connected to it. I mean, I got tears in my eyes like when you handed it to me. It's like there's something in that box.
These boxes, anybody can make them. I don't use anything really that much different than Joe does with his ghost boxes that he makes. It's just if somebody hands me a picture of somebody that meant a lot to them and I'm dedicating that box to them, it's almost like I channel that person here and they're like helping me build the box. They know it's going to that person I'm building it for. I don't understand it completely, but they'll even help change my mind on what I'm doing. It's sort of like I'm building it for them in the best way I possibly can to communicate with their loved one that wants to talk to them. I don't understand it, but it happens. So.
Yeah. Well, that's connection. As far as I'm concerned, I mean that's an amazing thing.
Right.
I mean that box you built for me. Not one time have I turned it on where I didn't get a hey Goose. Yeah. It's just like almost immediately like hey Goose. It's just that box whatever you did, when you handed it to me, it was definitely mine. It was like the wand chooses the wizard. The box chose me because you, the wand master down there.
once his image went on that box,
Yeah.
I could feel him around me. It was like he was waiting for me to get to the box.
Yeah.
And then the moment I hand the box over to you and I go home, he's not here anymore. He's there with you. That seems to be how it works.
Yep,
So,
I've definitely been feeling his presence around especially when I'm using the box to investigate. It's a wild, crazy thing.
I think the best thing with that box is we were at Madison, at least for me. We were at Madison. I was like, all right, I'm going to walk down the hall. You tell me when to stop. I took 3 steps and it was a clear stop.
Yeah. That was really cool.
And actually, Joe, because Joe makes boxes too, and you experiment with them a lot. You suggested to me last time we had you on the show to use a microphone to speak to the box.
Yes. I'm finding an increased connectability when you convert your voice into frequency. I actually add a little reverb to your voice. You're going to notice the connectability you're going to have with your box. For some reason, they seem to answer a little bit better.
That's awesome.
Every time I use it, and it's just a simple toy you can get on Amazon. You ever see those little karaoke microphones?
Yeah.
Something as simple as that. You're converting now your voice into the same frequency that the box is speaking in. And watch the increasing. It's unbelievable. Even try it with EVPs. For some reason, they can hear you better. I don't know why.
Honestly, makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah,
everything's based on frequency. We all talk at different levels. When you're talking to a microphone, it doesn't matter who's talking into it. It's coming out as the same frequency. So give it a shot. Cool. I mean, Amazon sold out of the one that I recommended in 1 week. It's funny. I posted it. And
it's all here.
It's all there. And it's great. It's fun, especially for public hunts. You want people to ask questions. You're passing around the microphone, and it makes that person feel even more special, and it's more personal when they get the response. Yeah. I just wouldn't recommend it this time with the COVID. Right. Don't pass that thing around.
No.
Yeah.
But give it a shot. It's kind of neat. I still believe each box, the more you use it, the more times you turn on this enhancer and you're using it, it becomes more personal to you. It's like your home, your doorbell. When it rings, it's for you. It's the same thing when you're talking with the device you're using. Every time, like you said, Goose, when you turn on it calls your name. It's waiting for you. It's almost you open the door, here I am, and you have certain spirits that are waiting for you. I've noticed when I turn mine on all the time, it's, hello, how are you? Where you been? And it's a conversation. And I always try to refer to what we were talking to prior, because I always write it down to make sure it's the same spirit, and they're always dead on. Yeah. I always say when we left last time, what was the comment that I asked you to repeat this time? And it will say it. Oh, wow. And that just blows me away. I always journal whenever I do the box sessions. Yeah. Another thing I recommend is using Scrabble tiles. Spell out words and put them on the table, and you'll be amazed that some spirits can see it and read it. Oh, wow. To me, that's where it gets a little creepy. That's like someone peeking in on you. Most of the time, they'll say, I can't see it. And some will say, oh, I see it, and they'll read it. And it's mind-blowing. Just little tools like that, little tricks.
Yeah. That's a cool idea.
And again, that's what this field's about. It's experimenting. We're trying all these different ways. Yeah. And with the younger generation coming up, I really believe they're going to crack the code.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are going to set the tone for something new. Yep. I mean, I ain't no young puppy, but, we laid the road. Well, the road's paved. Let's let the ones behind us drive down it and see what they can find.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it's exciting.
Absolutely.
I love watching Facebook Lives. You see all these different techniques. Right. And I love seeing the young ones because their eyes are like this. Yeah. Their mouths are open. They're not breathing. To me, that's amazing because that's people who say, I want this. And it's only going to get better. I mean, 25 years ago, we couldn't talk about this. Even it was taboo. Oh, you're the devil. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And they blocked you off, and that was it. You never got invitations to parties anymore, and you were disowned. Now it's more acceptable. And it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better.
It's mainstream now.
Yes.
Before you move on to the next question, I wanted to kind of touch on what Joe's saying, and I'm very lucky that I've gotten to work with Joe and Jeff, and I've learned a lot from both of them. One of the things that I admired about them was their sensitivity when they were doing the ghost hunting, because when I first started, it was mainly big burly guys, and if you started talking, I'm feeling, I'm getting sad or I'm getting this, or they didn't want to hear that stuff. It was just, we want to be scared in a building, or maybe watch equipment go off and nothing else. In the beginning, I really didn't like equipment because I felt like it was dulling my senses, because now I'm honing in on, is this light flashing? Is there something beeping? But it wasn't giving me that personal connection with ghost hunting. Now I've learned to incorporate and like a lot of equipment because it will validate when I go, I'm feeling like, who's in here that, that has Alzheimer's, because I just felt my mind like a mirror shatter in front of my face. And that usually means like disconnect from thought. And then you start having equipment going off. Now, can I say for certain? But no, that's adding another layer of something I'm saying, that now equipment is getting activated when nothing was happening in the room before. Jeff was, I was like, wow, watching him one time at I think it was Post Town. It was like watching like a ghost whisperer. He was so kind and so gentle and so conversational, and it was refreshing to see. It wasn't that somebody standing in a room and going, "How many are here?" screaming.
Right.
I'm gonna flip you off and walk right through. I'm not sitting in that room. He makes it engaging and fun. I own spirit boxes from both of them, and I'm honored to have them because I know that they put passion into it. Not saying that other equipment isn't good, but I know that their spirit is now added into what they made it with best intention.
Right.
So it's really nice to be able to work with that. And Joe's absolutely right with any of your equipment. Don't let somebody tell you, don't use that ghost hunting. And this is for somebody that might be watching. If it's something that you use all the time and you connect to, your energy is on that, making it more likely that a spirit might engage with that because that's tied to you.
Right.
Your energy is on that, and they can read you just like the living can. If you go in full of nonsense, a lot of times that's what you get back. There was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember. I'm just excited to be here listening to them too. I've learned a lot through them as well, and it's nice to be able to share with some people because you do get stuck in a rut with your styles.
Yeah, you do.
But it is nice to see, like Joe was saying, use Scrabble tiles. There's always sometimes we'll put pictures out or we'll do something different. Yeah, it is kind of freaky when something can see exactly what's there in the room with you. Right. Or, if I dressed up for a holiday, we had through a spirit box somebody going, "There's a witch," because I was dressed as a witch.
Oh, awesome.
It's cool to see that, that adds something to them. Or if you wave and somebody says hi instead of actually voicing it to the spirit box.
Yeah.
That stuff is cool. And when you have a group of people and they respond and they react, that's what keeps me excited about it. Because sometimes I go, I don't know if I still love the paranormal. I love ghost hunting, but I don't need to have it proven to me anymore.
Right.
Sure.
Exactly.
I do like sharing it with others because their excitement reminds me why I get excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I do love the public hunts. I love watching somebody, even just seeing a flashlight turn on for the first time. Somebody who's never experienced that before. Like, I love how excited they get. And it reminds me of the first time it happened to me, like, because now it'll turn on and you're just like, oh, thank you for turning that on, but when you see somebody, when you see a whole room full of people go, Like it's so exciting to watch. I love doing it.
Hey Jeff, I had that happen at the Emmett house when we did that public ghost hunt there. We were down in the basement and the flashlight turned on and this lady just kept backing up until she like ran into me.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I had a great experience. We were at the Kent Paranormal Weekend and we had broken up different sections of the theater that night. They were doing a public ghost hunt. And this was actually with you guys familiar with Jim Harold? I mean, I'm sure you are. Podcaster, paranormal podcaster. He's an author. Maybe you're not.
I don't.
Okay. Well, he's well known. He's actually from the Cleveland area. And he was down there and seeing him because as much as he writes and he podcasts about it, he doesn't really get to go and explore what we do as much as we do. So it was actually him being on a live investigation was almost brand new to him, which I found very interesting to begin with. Yeah. But all we had was the EDI set up and did something that's a piece of equipment that I've kind of connected to using, kind of just, putting it aside. And when I start seeing it fluctuate with the lights and everything, after being quiet for, 15, 20 minutes, then I'll start kind of focusing on it and using it as a device to interact with the spirits.
Yeah. And I remember him now. Now. He's the one that got mad at me because I asked when the Avengers was starting when you were up there giving your speech.
Yeah, I'm like, any questions? He starts off, he's like, yeah, I thought the Avengers was playing tonight. When is that? But we're doing this and everybody. I thought it was hilarious. I had a hard time focusing for the rest of the conversation. But yeah, seeing those people's eyes and seeing somebody who like Jim Harold, who is somebody I've always followed and read his books and everything, just light up like Joe was saying, just like in awe that we're getting direct responses with a singular person. We're using the singular person's name, and he was the only one responding to us. We were throwing out other names that they gave us, like in the history of the building, and this one guy was the only one that was talking through that box to us, and it was really cool seeing all those people just like, wow, this is really cool. And then then they're following you out throughout the rest of the night, like what's next? What do we do now? Are we gonna do an EVP? Just really cool stuff.
Yeah,
but, Jeff, did you ever get to go to the Paranormal Weekend?
No,
I think you would have liked it. I mean, well, when it first started, they got hit by fire code and had to move everybody into the auditorium. But the first time I went, it was pretty cool. They had everybody lined up, a lot of cool people. I think you would have liked it. It's a theater.
Actually, the first time they had it. Go ahead, Mike.
Is it going to happen again? Or?
No, unfortunately, they had to stop, especially with COVID this year. That ruined everything. And then just the money, because of the constant fire code changes, they just don't have the capacity at the theater to host it anymore. So they're looking for other avenues. Hopefully, in a couple of years, they'll be able to do it again. But it always had a good turnout, and I got to meet great people. That's how I met Sean Gilmore, who's a part of our group now, and Eric McGill, who's a part of RU Media. Just good folks. It was a great time. But just going back to that feeling of that awe-inspiring stuff it's really cool. Jeff, Brian wanted me to ask you a question. Brian Baum. He said, besides the spirit box, when you're actually able to investigate, what's your go-to piece of equipment?
Well, normally it's just that whatever box I bring at the time. But I love voice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Voice recorders are completely awesome. And that's what I listen to when I go home. I tie it into my stereo in my vehicle, and that's if I got a 3-hour ride.
There you go.
Good.
And then I like about wreck every time I gotta like write something down.
Yeah.
Voice recorders.
That's a good idea. I probably
That
wouldn't
is a good
sleep.
idea. Yeah, because so many people record things and then they don't listen to it for months. You know what I mean? And then by then you forget what you were talking about, or you forget what was happening. You know, that's a good idea.
If you've got a good stereo system in your vehicle, I mean, it's like you're listening to it in
Right.
surround. You don't hear
Yeah.
anything else. So,
Yeah.
Until you pull up to a signal and the car next to you is looking at you real strange.
And actually, Amy, Brian had the same question for you as well. What's your favorite piece of equipment when you're able to investigate?
Aside from the spirit boxes, let's see. Well, generally, I say myself.
Yeah.
That's an answer. That's a good answer.
And that's usually what I'm always telling people when I'm running groups is yourself. You know, you are the best tool in this room. You're going to pick up senses. You're going to pick up movement. Don't get bogged down. My biggest thing that I don't like is people staring at computer screens the entire time.
Yeah.
Because you never get adjusted and assimilated to the darkness. I've seen people miss the most incredible shadow movement because they're like, well, I'm not picking it up on my screen.
Right.
No, put it down. I do like if it's a fantastic flashlight session, sometimes that's not the most popular of an answer, but if it's dead on and spot on and different things can happen with the flashlights and only the ones that you're asking to be activated, I like those. The EDI, I love the EDI. I use that a lot.
Yeah.
So I have multiple, and of course my REM pod dog Taco.
Yeah.
Oh, you have.
Yeah, I've seen many pictures of Taco.
Me because he was made after my dog, my Chihuahua, passed away, and he has his little bags inside. And kind of like Joe was saying, because that is very personal to me, and I actually have a story about him. And when I would run when Para Expeditions used to, when we were at Randolph County Infirmary all the time, and I was there week after week, and every time I would tell crowds of people and hold up that dog and a picture of my real dog and tell that story. What do you think equipment got activated the most in that building? Taco.
Yeah.
You could just go, I'm looking for my dog, Taco, and then he'd be down a hallway. I got a girl giggling one time that wasn't there that freaked everybody out. We were watching the laser grid get like muted out, and I kept stepping on somebody's coming out of that room, and I don't, and Taco was going off like crazy, and all of a sudden he just made this big long and then we heard a little girl giggle, and I think Jason has that on voice recorder.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool to see all of that. But the other thing too is that brings fun for them. That makes something engaging for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I try to approach spirits that way because I remember that they're people.
Right.
We're interacting with people.
And you have to think too, like, some of the equipment that people have has to be intimidating to people who have never even seen a phone or a cell phone. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And we're bringing in all these things with lights and whistles and buzzers and all kinds of things, So I think maybe that's why, like, the music box or the dog or the dolls or, things that are safer looking tend to get more reactions.
Or play music in buildings. Play
time period
music. I would ask questions with flashlights. Is it, what era did you like? Was it the 20s?
Yeah.
And wait for responses. And then you would have equipment go off with different music that you play. It's just fun. You know what? I always find that people enjoy watching that kind of stuff and having fun. You have people cheering on a ghost and clapping. Because they enjoy themselves, and it's much better than being scared and thinking that the devil resides there.
Yeah.
I'm not going in if Satan actually lives there. I'm just not. So
I actually like, Joe, when you were at Madison, you brought a projector with you.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Yeah,
And-
association to visuals.
I love that. Tell
It
them
worked.
about that.
I got a little pocket projection that works off of your cell phone, and it's all battery operated. And what I do, I just aim it towards a wall, and I'll throw up pictures associated to the location. We did that at Madison, and I put up a nurse that used to work there at the Madison.
Oh, wow.
And the responses we got were unbelievable. It seemed very active, and then we actually witnessed a visual exiting. This is up on the 3rd floor, exiting into the hallway. I use it everywhere I go. The EVPs increase. Everything seems to increase with it. I always like to have association to the location. I think that's the easiest way is with pictures. Give them a visual. Ask them, what are we looking at? And it's just little things. They can get expensive. I get that buying a little projector is nothing too cheap, but you can get them now for, I think, just under $100, or you can actually get one that goes on your cell phone. Now it's a case that will project. And everything is getting simpler and simpler and better and cheaper. And like I said, you can go into a location fully armed with everything. And it depends on what you want to use. I love visualization. I love my Styrofoam cup. I'm going to date myself right here. Styrofoam cup is one of the best paranormal tools out there. It doesn't work when it's humid out, but when it's dry out, you just rub it on your sleeve until it sticks to your hand, start throwing it around the ground. That's going to give you mini static Van de Graaff generators. The cups are fully charged, so if an entity walks by, the cups are going to attach to it. They're going to start to spin around.
I'm going to try that next time.
Don't do it in your home. Don't do it in your home, please.
No, I don't do anything at my house. Nope.
Because if you don't want to know what's in there, don't do it. Because the cups will take off. Sometimes they'll elevate. It's nerve-wracking. Sometimes you'll hang them from a thread from a ceiling, charge them up down a hallway, and you'll see the cups pull to one side as if it's walking down the hall. You can do stuff like that.
I need to do this. Like tonight.
Little things like that. And if you're going to do it that way, just go out and buy some reflective paint and just make a circle around them. So if you're in a dark hallway and you throw them around, you take a dim lit flashlight that's not going to illuminate everything, but it will light the reflective material. So now you see these cups sitting down the hall. All of a sudden you start to see them start to swirl.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I have a thesis I wrote in 86. I just dated myself. 86 when I graduated high school. We had to write a paper to graduate, and I did it on the unusual, the paranormal, psychic abilities, all that fun stuff. And my mentor was a science teacher who was brilliant. We used to call him Einstein. Red hair used to stick out.
Yeah.
I wanted to be him in every way, and he just told me to think outside the box. And I wrote the paper on the Styrofoam theory because I believe entities absorb static energy, which emits the electromagnetic fields. So let's feed them what they want, even a simple wool sock. Rub those, start throwing those around. You'll start to see them spark because they're drawing the energy. Same thing with balloons. Rub them in the hair, stick it on the wall, write a Y and a no. Ask them to touch the balloon in relations to the question, and the balloon will slowly fall because it absorbs the power out of the balloon, so the balloon falls.
Wow. See, and these are fantastic ideas that are in anybody's budget. You can go to the dollar store and get, a ton of ghost hunting equipment.
$5 and you're a ghost hunter from the dollar store. It's that simple.
Yeah,
I'm going to look downstairs after the show.
Right?
Yeah. But it doesn't work too well when it's humid out. When it's humid, it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah.
I have these little mini Van de Graaff generators. They're about this big. They run off of a power cell you charge your cell phones with. And they emit a lot of energy. It gives them the power to absorb, basically the ability to absorb the power off the Van de Graaff instead of your camera batteries, your cell phone batteries. It's more accessible for them. I think it is. Again, this is all in theory. I have where I could say Elvis wants this, and this guy wants this. But it seems to work. again, this is old school. I mean, new school is fantastic. I love it. I mean, Jeff's box, the first time I saw Jeff turn on his box and use it, I was like, wow, because he had a connectability to it. And whenever he asked a question, it would answer. And stuff like that is just amazing. I mean, you can stick a pencil on the top, put the charged styrofoam cup over it, and around the box. So when they start answering, the cup will start spinning on the pencil.
Oh my gosh.
You can do little things like that. Give it the ability, and you'll see it get charged up. Like, oh, did I do that? And then you can say, yes, you did. Can you do it again? And you'll watch it spin. Even a ping pong ball is simple as a ping pong ball. Give it the ability to manipulate something light as air, but yet it's still a mass. Put it on a golf tee. Watch them hit that ball around. It is so easy for them to knock the ping pong balls around. And it's a very distinctive sound of a ball bouncing off the floor. And I know what it is. And it's... I love old school. I'm so in touch with that. But don't get me wrong, I love my technology.
Right.
And you go to a graveyard with the coffee cup, you don't look too suspicious. Rub it in your hand and just put them around and watch them start doing a dance.
Mike, are you writing this all down? You taking notes for us?
We could rewatch the show, Goose.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go.
You know anybody that owns the ghost hunting store is like, no.
And I always have free styrofoam cups here at the store. I always tell people they're free. Take what you need to investigate.
I always tell people when I talk about Joe, because I always end up talking about Joe since I'm using your equipment at events. I always tell them you're the MacGyver of ghost hunting. Like you use this world full of information.
Yeah.
And what I love is you do pick inexpensive ways, because that's usually what I tell people too. If you're not going to do this, like I wouldn't have half the equipment I have if I wasn't running events.
Yeah.
Right.
Why would you, bankrupt yourself?
Exactly right.
If it's not something that you're doing all of the time.
Right.
So they're tools of the trade for me.
That's right.
Right.
But I love that, because I always tell people that too. Get yourself some magnetic letters in a cookie tray. See if something moves them around.
And that's experimenting too, and I love that, because now your mind is open more, and you start to think, okay, I did this. What if I add this? Now, if I do this? And watch it grow. Watch it just. And I always tell people, it's a passion, not an obsession. If it becomes an obsession, take a step back and reevaluate. Because if you don't have balance, you're going to be, this is the only thing I want to do. Yeah. But look who's talking. I own a paranormal store. What the hell is
So where are you on that line then? Obsession or passion?
You know what? I think I fell off the passion table. I'm laying on the obsession right now.
That's phenomenal. I love it. Amy, I'm going to ask you this question just because you have so much experience with Hinsdale. Melanie Vincent was asked, or her question reads as this. Last month, she was at Hinsdale House. She saw a full-body apparition of a middle-aged man in jeans and a green T-shirt. Has this something that's been seen before?
No, the Hinsdale House. Actually, I won't say the green shirt, but recently I saw an older gentleman that was in jeans, and he had a flannel shirt on, and he was solid. So I was there actually filming one day, and I was walking the grounds trying to get out of everybody's way because it wasn't my time to be on camera.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, when did somebody else come out here? I thought it was one of the crew, and then I thought, wait, who the hell would be in a flannel shirt at 100 degrees? And when I looked back around, he was gone. But then in my head, I heard, I'm so very tired. I had been looking into, is there somebody named Henry? Because that's the name I kept getting. It made me sad when I heard him say that, because it just felt like final words, like somebody at the end of their rope.
Yeah.
So, Melanie, I'm asking Dan to go through, it's hard to see since that house is so old, how many people have actually lived there. So there's always something new at the Hinsdale House, which doesn't make any sense. It's not the traditional haunt. It's, as many times as I've done locations, and I'm lucky that I've been able to in my career do certain locations time and time again and really build a rapport and know that building inside and out and what seems normal and what doesn't, and form ideas and theories. And Hinsdale is one that I never really usually feel welcome. It always feels like I'm actually trying to train the spirits or explain the spirits. I've done, except for one that never wants me to hear who he is. And he blew up one of Joe's pieces of equipment.
Oh, no.
One of the spirit boxes I had completely fried. And I didn't want to go that route thinking it's got to be that house.
Yeah.
And when I took it into him because it made no sense, he said, I hate to say this, but it's that house. And I'm like,
I've lost a lot of gear at that house. A lot of gear. I don't know why. A full broadcasting system cooked itself at that house.
Wow.
It makes no sense. All the circuit boards were gone in 2 separate devices on either side of the house when, before the internet was there, I used to erect these antennas to broadcast live. And the circuit boards in each one were gone.
Wow.
No sense.
Wow.
And I still don't know. And I scratch my head about that. And there's something about that house where they can say, okay, guess what? Watch what I can do. And bang.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's where I started having issues with the box that Jeff made for me. And it's never been right since. So it's kind of, I'm there all the time. So you can kind of watch something really doesn't want me to hear it sometimes. I've set down recorders. I'll watch it. I know how to set a recorder. I know the little light is recording. And we're recording this session, and I'll go to get it when we're done. And I'm like, oh, the light's off.
Yeah.
Oh, the battery didn't die. While I'm sitting there.
You're like record, and they're like, nope.
It's interesting, but I don't give up being polite and nice when I'm there, even though I feel like I'm confronted with something that's one of the reasons I'm not that welcome there. It wants to be dark and scary, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to get something else. So it pushes back at times.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good kind of segue into the next question for Amy again. Sorry, guys. It's from Susan Jane. Actually, she's watching all the way from Australia. Wow. So thank you for that. That's amazing. Cool. She says, it reads as this: Dearest Amy, what is the best? And then in parentheses, she writes, other than white lighting, yourself, angels, protection, white sage, crystals, etc., what's the best thing to protect a true empath?
Usually, I do certain things daily. So I'm kind of constantly shielding and sending out things to kind of feed my energy and replace my energy from being sapped. So I don't do a whole lot of specific shielding because I'm always doing incense. I'm always saying prayers. I'm always doing gratitude things. I'm always trying to replenish myself. I do a lot of meditation and trying to connect to source. So I don't feel that there's very few times that I feel that I need to update any of my protection. One of my favorite things to do, though, is protect. I imagine myself protected by mirrors, that there are mirrors all around me, because that way I'm just projecting back what somebody's sending to me. I'm not sending out any ill intention. So if somebody's doing that, they're just getting back what they received. And if somebody's sending good stuff, they're getting good stuff back. So that's probably my favorite thing. But I'm pretty good in my faith. Also, in my connection that way. So like I said, I don't really, kind of hard when somebody asks me that question, because I'm like, I'm doing something spooky every day. There's always something smoking or burning or, It's fun to watch my neighbors. I also would recommend not only yourself, but, protecting your house too. Extend that from yourself out to your house. That's where it gets fun. Neighborhoods really love when you're walking with a cauldron and a feather in their seat. But guess what? It works. It keeps them away from me, and that is whether it's just because they think I'm weird or not.
Right? It's protecting you from the live people too.
That's great.
And I blend modalities. I'm fortunate enough to work with a lot of people that do a lot of different things. So it's nothing for me to have some, if you came into my house, it looks like basically I brought out a Catholic cathedral because I have a lot of Catholicism statues and artifacts. I also have a lot of Native American stuff. I have a lot of, witch stuff. I have a lot of, I have railroad spikes where the dog man was sighted in Ohio. So, I just think, to me, like Joe said earlier, to me, it all connects. It's what connects to you, what brings you that connection to source. And I don't like to use like names because, like Joe, I think it's all one. I just ran into that the other day. I put some little spells, little easy. There were prosperity spells and wellness water. And somebody came onto my ramblings page and started talking about, boy, those were ramblings. I hope you find God. And I'm like, because I put a wellness water spell?
Yeah.
I want you to do well. Imagine yourself being revitalized. And I just thought, wow, what a stretch that's where her mind went.
Yeah.
Godless.
Right.
Luckily, I was able to kind of talk to her compassionately and reasonably. And, but I just talked about this on my show the other day. But ironically, some people got really upset that happened. But ironically, she boosted that post by 51%. Because otherwise, it would have had some likes, but because of all the banter about things and who's wrong and who's right, me, if you're a good person and the intent is there and you're connecting to higher self, higher energy source, call it what you will. If you're a good person, that's what matters. The golden rule ascends all faith. Angels are usually the powerful thing because they're included in every religion. So that's usually the easy thing for people. You say, I'm going to call them angels. They don't get excited. If I say I'm going to, call in watchtowers, and some people are going, it's just a matter of names. It's a matter of names and making it kind of easy for everybody to kind of feel included and incorporated. So whatever brings you peace and joy, do that, and really learn to tune out and take time for yourself from the rest of the world. And that means get rid of this kind of stuff. I spend hours a day away from my phone for that reason, because when I'm connected to it, it's not a lot of good stuff that comes through this. It's unfortunately, especially right now. So,
I got a question for Jeff when we get.
She probably thought, "What the hell was she talking about?" And if she ends up following me or anything, she's going to know that I do that. I start somewhere and then I bring it up. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So Jeff, because she was talking about passion and everything, what made you start building the boxes? Because you do put passion and everything into those.
Another box builder told me to build a box out of the wood from the Emmett house because I talked so much about missing the place, and I missed all the spirits there that we, talked to and were with all the time, and I built that first box, and Andre Woolard made it talk, and that was it. I wasn't putting anything inside the cabinets. I was just building the cabinets because I wanted other people that had some kind of association with the place to be able to talk to those spirits too again. And then the strange thing about the whole thing is, I think this Eyes Closed box is like one of the very first ones I made. And I just got it back after about, might have been 3 years.
Wow.
And it's going to Pam, the owner of the Emmett house. So as soon as I get it talking, that's where it's going. It's going back home. So
awesome.
That's what got me started with the cabinets. So.
Yeah.
And see, that right there just made my heart melt. And like, I understand that connection to buildings. And sometimes when we have to say goodbye to buildings, it's like saying goodbye to a family member. I know some buildings that I left behind, I felt like I was abandoning them. You know, sometimes the living got in the way of relationships with buildings. So, you know, you do form really big connections to places that you're always at, and the spirits are there. And Jeff, one of my favorite memories was Jeff, when you did a video for me when you were at a location, and he asked, "Do you remember Amy?" And right away, you hear, "We miss her."
That was at RCI.
Yeah. To a building that I was no longer at, and I just bawled. Now anybody sitting there would go, "What the hell is she crying at?" I bawled. I knew
they constantly asked for you there. It was pretty crazy.
It's funny because I tormented them. I used to sing to them
Well.
and dance in the hallway. Play them SpongeBob cartoons. And so for them to ask me, but that really cemented, that's why you behave the way you do in certain locations, because they resonate with kindness and caring and compassion. So
we actually we had a psychic was walking with me through Madison, and I had never met the guy before, and we walked up to the second floor of the Civil War side, and the psychic goes, "Oh," and he looks at me, and that's never good. I don't know what he's talking about, so I'm like, "What?" He said, "They really like you up here," and I was like, "Oh."
Cool.
He said, "They really see how much you do around here, and they really appreciate it." I was like, "Oh, that makes me feel good."
You're nice. Everybody likes you no matter where you go.
That's not true.
They don't call you D Nice for nothing.
Then she gets mad at the unit.
Right? That's my other side.
Definitely keep doing that in buildings. And I really try to teach that when I'm working with people, is to be respectful, be mindful, be yourself, be personable. Because we all know, and too oftentimes places also get, I always say the worst contamination to a lot of buildings is other ghost hunters, and that breaks my heart. But we have a lot of people going out there to make YouTube hits, and they're not caring about a location. They might use crazy tactics or be disrespectful. That also, if you're a person that believes in energy, that also can affect the place. And that also can change the dynamics. And that also can create a lot of issues for what used to be in a location versus what's now being cycled in.
Yeah. Right.
And I think, Hinsdale is a good example. I think kind of the one thing there I don't think he ever belonged there. I think he got kind of sucked in some kind of way. And he's there to stay now. But just crazy stuff that you think about as a ghost hunter. So get ready for those of you who are just now stepping into the field. You'll drive yourself bonkers.
Yeah. That perfectly answered some joker named Jason Brock's question.
Yeah, I seen that.
He was asking, do you find better investigations while being nice and compassionate?
Yeah.
Over forceful and demanding. And
I actually make this part of my tours now at Madison. I try to explain to people, like, it's I hate to see on shows where they walk into a place and say, "Oh, you ain't shit. You can't do anything to me." You know what I mean? Like, just provoking and being rude. Like, if I go into your house and I'm talking to you that way, you're not going to talk to me. But if I go into your house and I say, "Man, I heard about what happened to you. That's really fucked up. I'm really sorry. Let's talk about it," then you're more likely to talk about it. I've been at Madison for over 2 years. I have never once provoked, and I have also never left there without an experience. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a jerk to get a reaction, ever.
I think one of the most things I got up on the last floor of Madison, I was telling the history and telling how much that, and I don't like to use the word suffer, but how they were treated. And I was like talking about the location where they came, like some of them came from, because I worked in the developmental disability field, and I had people living in the houses that came from Apple Creek. And every day when I'd walk in the house, she'd ask me, "Are you going to take me back to Apple Creek?" Like scared. And I was like, no, that's closed. You don't have to worry about that place anymore. And I had a lady, I was telling this story. I had a lady that came from Apple Creek that would carry, like, she would get water, she would drink from the toilet, or she would drink from the sink, but she would hold that water in because that was the only water she thought she was going to get. So I was explaining it was a really small group, it was just 3 of us. And I was explaining, and I said, one of the ladies I know passed away, and I got an EVP that said, "I know."
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, it was a lady. It was like, "I know."
Wow.
And see,
that was really like a personal one.
Right.
You bring up a really good point. You can relate. I'm also a caregiver by day. And what I would think of when I would hear, like, in certain locations that were poor farms or asylums, or not everybody that was in there, deserved to be there or was the best treatment given to them. They were castaways from society. So to go in there making them feel more, outcasted is just insane to me. Whereas probably they want somebody to relate and somebody to care and somebody to nurture and, a bulk of them. There's some that didn't care. But because I would sit there and think some of the people probably that I've worked for in my life, had they have been born at a different time, probably would have been in a place like this.
Exactly.
And some people still live in my heart even when they pass. How I would probably have been in a place like that for practicing witchcraft or being healthy or being, any reason somebody wanted to put you away. So I always think, if you go in there with the expectation of, let me just kind of reach out and see what's gonna respond back,
right,
and go from there. Even in prisons, even when we did jails, I never did. I did an experiment once, provoking, because we had a guest that was. I don't understand why you're talking nice to them. This is a jail. And I said, okay. We were starting to get little things, but she didn't want to sit still and listen. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this. So I walked around slamming the bars, after doing my best Zach Bagans ridiculousness. and I thought, and we got nothing. All of the activity stopped.
Yeah.
And then we got no responses from the spirit boxes, no flashlight, nothing. Yeah. No more sounds. I was getting excited. We were hearing shuffling and all of that. And I thought, you know what? I know you guys know that I'm not the new sheriff in town. I know that that I was full of shit, and I know I don't talk to you that way when I'm in here. So I know that this floor had the most suicide on it. And for you to consider taking your life while you're here, I'm very sorry. And as soon as I did that, right across the spirit box, thank you.
Right.
That's nice.
And I was like, you don't have to be, I'm not there to be the judge and jury. So.
Yeah. And you have to think, like, these people, when they were alive, whether it's a prison or an asylum or whatever, what happened?
What do
you mean? Did Denise freeze up, or is she just smiling at us a lot?
I don't know. She's kind of freaky.
She's got a great smile.
Yeah, she does.
She's just happy for us.
You back?
Hey.
Yeah.
You're back. All we saw, and we were just very quiet, all we saw was...
She was the happiest ghost hunter that ever lived.
Yes.
So, anyways,
2 hours of.
So, like, these people, whether they're in a prison or an asylum or whatever, like, anyone who wasn't a fellow patient or prisoner probably treated them like shit. So when they have people walking onto their floor or into their room or whatever, they're going to hide if they're afraid of you. And it doesn't matter what kind of building you're in. If you're intimidating, they're going to hide from you, not talk to you more. It doesn't provoking just doesn't make sense to me. And maybe it's just because I'm an overly positive person, but
you make me sick. No, I'm kidding.
Let's provoke the need.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some instances where, and there's places times where you do have to stand your ground and set your limits with certain things.
Right.
They're your boundaries. But yeah, even like I said, in prisons, I don't know at the turn of the century if everybody was in there because they actually did it either.
Right.
I'm just there to show you the building for the night and try and see if something happens. Not not being the executioner.
Right.
Well, what's your feeling on, say, like you're investigating a prison, and you have it in your, you want to experiment a little bit. Do you think there's a difference between being provoking and reenacting? Like, say you want to maybe see if you can get some activity by playing the part of an officer.
Oh yeah, reenacting things.
Yeah.
That's an interesting, concept.
I know that's a very fine line because back then especially.
I think it just depends, but no, it might be kind of cool to see, especially if there's a significant thing that happened in a location. To see if that sparks anything or gets any responses. That's not something I'm going to do with the average person that comes to one of my events.
Right.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
But it would be a cool experience with people that are all kind of seasoned or weathered by the field.
Right.
Kind of do that and kind of keep it contained. That's the other thing that I like to tell people too. Just make sure that you're doing things that, if you have other people with you, that you feel good about taking responsibility for. I know that they're ghost hunting and I can't say what the ghosts are going to do, but I know that I didn't kind of unnecessarily for shits and giggles put them in harm's way either. So
right.
I have a question for each person in the panel.
Uh-oh.
Has there ever been anything that just freaked you out? Start with Joe.
I think the one thing that freaked me out, it was a voice that kept telling me that it loved me. It kept saying it over and over, and it was VPs at a location. And I was dead set on not bringing this thing home with me. That's all I kept hearing. I love you. I love you. And you felt something with you. That was the first time I didn't go home after an investigation, where I actually called my wife and said, I'm not coming home tonight because of this reason. And I think that really shook me to the core, just because it's never happened to me before, but I felt that was maybe a not possession, but an attachment that I was really concerned with. That, what, this thing is really trying to come home with me and do so. I mean, I think that one really scared me because, again, I'm a wall when I go home. I'm, the Terminator. Nothing comes in my walls at home. I make sure of that. That's my castle. That's my family. That's my wife, my son, my dog. It means the world to me. And that's the last place where I want to do battle with the spirit. And I think that's the one thing that really terrified me the most. It's not these big, burly spirits that'll tell you do this, do that. I mean, they can drop the F-bomb all they want at me. It just doesn't faze me. It's that I love you. And I kept hearing it in my ear, and I'm thinking, okay, this is getting scary now. And I really thought it was going to come home with me. Yeah, I mean, it's never happened before. No one's ever whispered that in my ears.
Wow.
But, it's just little things like that. Attachments to me are the most concerning to me. Again, I don't want to bring it home because my family is so innocent to this, and that would be taboo to me, and that would be horrible.
Jeff?
I've run out of buildings multiple times, just nobody really knows. But my most scary is probably RCI. When Adam first got RCI, I was going there by myself and working on the place, and I always would go around and tell them who I was. And this one time, I didn't walk the building and say, "Hey, it's Jeff. I'm going to be working on the place." I just went to work, and I seen a shadow on a door in front of me, something crossing back and forth behind me, and then I seen a glove move on the floor, and then I heard two guys talking downstairs in the kitchen, and I grabbed the broom. I called Chris, told Chris to get over there, and I grabbed the broom because I didn't have anything to myself. I didn't know what was going on. I was freaking out, and I made my way downstairs, and the voices kept getting louder and louder. And the moment I ran the corner into the kitchen, it was over with. But I was so freaked out by the shadows walking back and forth. I could tell something was behind me, and I could see it on the wall in front of me. And then seeing that glove move on the floor and then those voices, I sort of ran out of the building. That probably scared me the most because so many things happen like right in a row. Mm-hmm. Normally, if one thing happens, I can sit back and think about it, but it was just like one thing after another. So,
yeah,
that's my scariest event.
I would have exited quite quickly, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I have a theory. If you stay there for 5 minutes, you're not scared.
What?
Well, after Amy's, I'll tell you what happened up at Madison. I tell this story during the tour too.
Probably, there's a multitude of things that can kind of scare me. The longer that I do this, the more jumpy that I get, which some people don't understand because they think you should have nerves of steel. But some of it, I know that there is a lot of things that really don't have the best intentions. I lived in a house that got really dark and heavy that seemed to really shape and shift personalities. I think it's disheartening when I'm like you, Dee, that I don't investigate my house, but I will listen to equipment so that I know what it sounds like. Especially if I'm using it in front of a group, you got to be familiar with it. Mm-hmm. I do certain things when I'm investigating, like countdowns to let them know that I'm ready. And I had it was your box, Joe. I had it running, and it was just randomly running while I was making soup in my kitchen. And I hear 3, 2, 1, hello.
Oh,
not now that one was scary. Probably the scariest. I'm sorry. Was when I was at Hillview Manor. And it was kind of after, that's why I get so kind of protective about locations. That building was usually very, very fun to be around. I could walk around it in the dark without being scared at all. It was taking a different, heavier tone with who was investigating it, how staff was getting along, everything. And I came around the corner in a very long hallway, and there was a 7-foot tall shadow person standing there like this at me. And that I did like Jeff. I didn't exit the building, but I went, you can have this hallway. I don't. That's not that bad. Yeah. And I turned around. There was also something that was very skeletal that used to creep around corners and do this at you. Oh. And I don't mess with that stuff. Even if it's something just projecting that fear factor out, it's not a good energy. So that's my cue to leave.
All right. So the story was the 5 minutes, right?
Okay.
So I was up on the 4th floor, or the asylum in Madison. I know some people call it the 3rd. I always call it the 4th.
Yeah.
So I was up there, and Adam had me filling in a hole with spackle, first of all. I was up there with Stan Pike and Addie.
Stan.
So pizza came, but I still had to work on the spackle thing because I wanted all my lines to be smooth. And they both went downstairs, and Addie was in another room, and she had a fiberglass ladder. So I'm up there by myself, and all of a sudden I hear that ladder move. So I was like, all right, I just have to stay up here 5 minutes, and that means I'm not scared. So I just kept spackling, not looking around.
Was it really
That's my
5 minutes?
5-minute rule.
But you notice a pattern here? We're all alone when it happens.
Right?
Yeah.
And people wonder
Makes
why I
you
won't go to
wonder.
Madison by myself. Nope.
Well, maybe if you announce yourself like Jeff did at RCI, you walk around and say,
Maybe.
they probably won't mess with you.
I'm not going to try it, but maybe.
Actually, Goose, I forgot about the time I investigated with you, the House of Wills. Actually, that was probably the most
Yeah.
I got really weirded out. I've done this for years.
Yeah.
I did not know that location at all. One, I was very tired. Two, I didn't give a shit about protecting myself.
Yeah.
And I just went in thinking it's a night with friends. I'm not on the clock. I'm not trying to keep anybody but me. And I got overtaken by spirits in there, and I just kept trying to hide in that building. I got to get away. I got to get away. And I was actually yelling at people that were trying to get me.
Wow.
We did get a lot of like demonic kind of responses through things like F these humans.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was trying to hide in the building and I didn't know, but it didn't feel like me. And that was probably the scariest. So thank you guys for putting up with me that night and getting me out.
And there was a lot of people that night. Like you weren't alone. Like there was people all over the place.
Yeah, we had a big group.
It was a big group, but I was doing weird stuff. Like when I would see people with flashlights, I would actually duck behind stuff and try and hide them. And I thought, what? This is not me. Yeah, this is something here. It's, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go.
Wow.
Yeah, that location's a whole different ball game. Yeah. It's different, and I didn't like it when I was there.
Yeah.
I did what I needed to do, and I just couldn't wait to leave. I didn't feel.
I love it there. If it was in a better if it was in a better place, I'd be there all the time.
I think it was. I honestly, I think if it was in a better place, it may not be as
scary.
as ridiculously off the chain.
Because you're already on edge before you even get into the building.
Yeah.
Yep.
You are.
Actually, I have a theory on that. Look at most of your really creepy, dark, haunted locations. Where are they at? Shitholes of towns. Energy attracts like.
Yeah.
And if an abandoned building sits and empty, and before long, not only does it attract like the lowest kind of human life, where drugs, and, crazy stuff happening, that darker energy starts moving in. So I kind of look at that too, because it's a theory that I have that I look at.
Yeah, it was that was an intense night for a few people. We were talking about the neo-spiritualistic movement. We were actually that night. I know Jason was and Daniel Clace was there too that night.
Yeah, I'd say it was a big group.
Yeah, we did a table tipping session with Barb St. John, in the lead, and we had that thing moving like crazy, bopping around to Motown music we were playing. Yeah, and directly
watched, and it was crazy. Yeah. Like I was in another room, but I could see in there.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm so glad I missed that. I missed it. I was outside being counseled and then saved.
Yeah. Daniel and Jason were in the circle. I was in the circle. I think Kate involved too. Yeah, and it was just a little table, just a little folding table, and that thing was all over the place. Once we start rolling with the Motown, it was definitely picking up some energy and moving around. And like I even stepped back. I was afraid to break the circle, but I'm like, I'm not doing this to the table. I'm like, and everybody's just like, what the hell? But we're all singing Motown and this energy flowing through the place. It was nuts. But immediately after we broke the circle, I don't know if I stepped away too fast and like didn't protect myself. I was overcome with nausea and just the worst headache, like just a migraine. And Barb ended up having to throw some holy water on me, and I had to go outside and just like ground safely the tree farthest away from the street. It was that place was unreal.
Yeah, that's
I've been lucky. I've never had the ground.
Yeah.
That's true. I have,
Yeah.
I've been lucky that way, I guess.
No.
I don't do any protections. I've never had the ground.
No.
They must hate me.
Be careful. It's 2020.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Well, I ain't going anywhere.
It feels bad, but I think that's a place I'd be avoiding like the plague. So literally, I'd be. But yeah, that was a crazy night, and I was going somewhere with this.
I'll knock on wood.
What's that? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's. I don't know. I just seem the more and more I've been getting into this and opening up that side, that spiritualistic connection. I'm finding having to protect myself a lot more. I'm soaking up stuff like a sponge that I probably shouldn't be, and not realizing it until sometimes it's too late. So I'm like still learning all that. Is there anything like you guys would suggest for me, like kind of the new age empath guy that seems to be the sponge and weird things are just happening to me that I probably should be cutting off before it happens?
I think everyone has their own way. You have to figure it out. I usually say meditate a little bit prior and after, just to remind yourself who you are. I mean, that's what I've been doing. But everyone has their own way.
Yeah.
It can be as simple as, flipping a coin or something like that. Whatever works for you to make them understand you're one with yourself. That's it. I mean, I'm one. No one comes in or out except for the one that kept saying they loved me that one time. That's the only time where it freaked me to the point.
Yeah.
But like you said, I've been lucky too. I don't think I've ever taken anything home where I said, everyone's got to get out of the house. I got to go to work here.
Yeah.
But again, it can change on a dime like that, and it's the other way. And we accept that responsibility, we accept that risk, and it's just part of what we do. We don't know where we're going. We have no idea. And we're the Christopher Columbus. We're sailing across the water, and we're like, holy cow, what are we going to hit? We have no idea.
Yeah, and we don't necessarily know, even though we think we do at times, what we're interacting with. We don't necessarily know what we're asking to interact with us.
Very true.
I always tell people just really be firm in your boundaries and your beliefs. Every event that we do, I actually do an opening with people where I ask them to, bring in their faith system. It's not about any type of, what I'm telling you to bring in. It's about what's individual to you.
Right.
Because a cross might mean something to you, and the next person next to you could put a cross by them. That doesn't mean anything to them. It doesn't make them feel safe. It doesn't. We have somebody, Mike Smith brings T-Rex when we talk about protection circles. He brings T-Rex into his circle. So that's what and he hasn't been hurt since. So, but it really is about paying attention to you all the time.
Yeah.
Usually when things are amiss, it's very subtle at first. It's stuff that you dismiss. It's stuff that you think is coincidental. It's stuff that you think you're just making something out of nothing. Just make sure that you stay pretty much consistent with, I think we should all be protecting ourselves every day or some type of prayer work every day, because the living energy that we're around is far worse than probably most of the haunted positions we ever
I'll say that.
Right.
And if you constantly are doing that kind of stuff, it really leaves very few openings for something. My house is boring for something to come in. It's not. It's every space is filled with something, or there's always some kind of activity to raise vibrations and keep it uplifted here.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you do that kind of stuff, I don't think that you should probably have to do something monumental every day.
Right. Someone explained it to me once as, you just take whatever you personally think is the strongest thing in the world, whether you think it's barbed wire or a super thick wall or steel or a T-Rex or whatever you think is going to keep any negativity out. You just imagine yourself being surrounded by that, and you imagine it encasing you or whatever. And it doesn't have to be, like you said, just for spiritual things. You can use it to block out all of the negativity of 2020 that you read on Facebook,
Yeah.
and just don't let those things get to you. And I think that once you understand that you have that and you don't have to let those things affect you, I think that a lot of it is just a mental thing. It just, it's like the placebo effect or whatever, just knowing and feeling that you're safe. So whatever you need to do to make yourself feel like you're safe from those things, it's totally up to you.
Always approach it when you're in a good space.
Mm-hmm.
I know people that keep doing this when they're going through divorces or they're on different medications. And I'm like, that to me is kind of a time where you should back off if you're, going through a lot of heavy strife and strife. Because I know I pushed through it. I had to. I worked in it. And it created a lot more chaos because I was ungrounded. I was uncentered. I was chaotic. And, just stay mindful of how you're feeling and what is your space like that you're in. And I think you're golden there.
Right. And you have to, anytime I go to Madison, I always imagine like my problems are a physical suitcase and I am leaving them at the end of the driveway. You know what I mean? You cannot go into a place with with all that stress and all that anxiety and whatever, because then that just puts you in such a bad place. Like you have to just leave all of that at home when you go somewhere.
Hey Ray, didn't somebody say we balance each other out a little bit?
Yeah, we've both said that numerous times. Yeah. Not to sound weird, but you're kind of like the yin to my yang.
Right.
We've I mean, I think that's what I think that's kind of like why we work so well together, because you see me get into that space where I should not be going, whether it's intentional or not. I mean, I let myself open probably to things I shouldn't, but you know when that's happening. You see the physical, the physical happening, and you definitely seem to pick up on the emotional part of it and shake it out of me, and you send me down with your wife. You're like, Kate, take him out. You deal with him.
That's awesome. You should have, when you're doing this and you're with a group, you should have, if you have a team that really has your back and knows you, and has your best interest at heart, that in itself is a form of protection.
Oh, for sure.
It's
absolutely
kind of like that pack mentality. You're not going to do that to them. You're not going to do that to them. So that's beautiful to hear that you guys talk to each other that way.
Yeah.
And
you hear that, Mike? It's beautiful.
You hear that, buddy? You know why? Because I'm just waiting to slap the shit out of them if
Well, and it's weird too, because we were talking about the headspace. You're Amy brought up the headspace you're in before you go into an investigation. I've been talking about it the last few weeks. The last time I was at Madison just a couple months ago, is kind of like when everything was just starting to open back up, and I was helping out with the public investigation, and I had a pretty rough experience at the end of the night. And thank God, I mean, you weren't there, but thank God, I work well with Denise, and we always seem to pair up on tours and investigations and stuff. And she noticed what was going on with me, and she was like pulling me back, like, you got to get out of here. I confirm what you're feeling. It's time to leave. Yeah. So I could see it's definitely.
But you were not in a good place before you went into the building, though, either.
No,
right?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I was stressed out about a few things, and just the whole COVID, the pandemic thing was, I think, it was weighing on everybody's minds. Just the stress of the world and the state of the world right now. And that you can't say that's not weighing on your mind. I don't think there's one person that can honestly say that they're in a good headspace every day. They're always trying to find the positive every day, and it can be a real struggle. And I know that was a big part of it going in that night. And it was weird too because I had just posted on Facebook, oh, it's kind of a quiet night here in Madison, which is weird in and of itself, and making the insinuation that maybe because of the pandemic and nobody's been there for a while, that maybe it's just was a quiet night, and then I let my guard down, and that would happen. I mean, I wasn't even communicating. I was just sitting there, just listening. I wasn't saying anything. I wasn't using equipment. I wasn't using a spirit box.
I swear though, when you have that, when you're not in the right headspace, I swear you make like a target, like you must like glow green or something, and they're like, "Oop, I could get that one." It's
the same. It's like the scared one usually have stuff happen, or there's studies too with like people with mental illness and paranormal activity. If you start looking into that, it's mind because you're in an altered state, which might make them it easier for something to talk to you because or cling to you because you're not that. Maybe you have some weaknesses and it's easier to manipulate you. Those are all things that you have to really kind of watch and look for. Like you kids, you're always in an altered state, but
Like, I'll put this out there. It is a question I ask some people sometimes. Like, I'll say it out there, I don't care. I have a mental illness. I do. And I'm medicated, and I worry sometimes that stops me from being able to hear or see stuff. Do you think like that has some bearing on that?
It's hard to say.
Yeah, it is really hard to say. Usually I've seen the opposite where people, like especially people ill, have more activity going on around them. Especially that would be more your hospice people. I've worked in homes like that, and those can be quite scary because it's like a revolving door of things in and out, like something's always peeking at them. They're always in the middle of transitioning, but I don't really know if that could be blocking you from.
I mean, I think the medication you're thinking would do it, right?
Well, because it evens me. It evens me out.
Right.
It kind of locks me into a I don't want to say a sane state because I'm not like that, but
right.
it evens me out. It helps me think, like the medication helps me think clearer. And
they keep taking that and don't try to see if you don't take it, what happens.
Oh no, my wife already told me she'd leave if I let off my medication. So
they need you for protection.
If the medication is turning off the part of your brain that would hear or see things or perceive those things, then I guess it's possible. Who knows?
Yeah, that's something I can't experiment with, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah, no.
We got to put the kibosh on that one.
Yeah, it's smart for everybody.
Yeah.
The question again.
Not everyone does hear spirits.
Right.
I know a lot of people that always are waiting for that aha moment, and it just happens to be right place, right time. And you have a better shot if you're always at Madison now. I mean, the only reason I think I've had as many paranormal experiences as I have is because I am always doing something. I'm putting myself in those locations. And do I have stuff that happens at home? Occasionally, but not crazy levels of stuff. At least not here, and I'm knocking on wood. Yesterday during my show, the ceiling light came on all by itself. So that was off. You got to pull the cord to turn it on. It was just me here talking. I'm like, okay.
My son's toys go off all the time here. That's kind of weird.
Baby toys, man. Those things are creepy.
Yeah, they can be creepy.
Well, when they're motion activated or vibration activated and they start going off, that's always creepy. I don't care who you are.
I tested it out. I kicked one of his toys. It was on. It didn't go off.
Oh my god.
The same one that went off did not go off. I punted it across the floor. Just
Nice. Yeah, see? Creepy. There you go, Joe. There's another super cheap investigation equipment.
I love it. And
Bring
think
baby
about
toys.
that toy, though. What makes the toy go off? A connectability to the power. So if you were to walk by, again, take a wool sock during the winter, walk by with it, see if it sets it off. See if it is
there you
static
go.
generated. So now you might have an idea. It takes energy to set it off. And is it possible that you have something that went by the toy? Little things like that.
I like it.
It's amazing. But I like where you guys went with this, of different moods. Now, you guys have accessibility to Madison. If you were to do one night where you all sat in the break room and watched a comedy or something, went into the investigation on a positive, uplifting mood, and another night, piss each other off, and then go out and do it again, and then do one on a sad note and see what works. I think that would be a fascinating study to do and just see what happens. And I love stuff like that. My mind just goes crazy with stuff like that. But that might actually be something that you guys can write a thesis on and actually make it proven data. Hey, this is what happened, this is what happened, and this is what happened. I think that would be great.
I mean, because they say all the time, you get out of the universe what you put into it, you know. So
and see what happens. You never know.
Yeah.
I came home and the Metrodome was going off on the electric piano one day. Like I opened the door and I was like, it was going tick, 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 tick. And I was like, what the hell is that? First of all, and I finally found like it was on the piano and I was like, what the. You know, and I started thinking, I was like, oh, maybe the cat stepped on it. Yeah, maybe the cat stepped on the power, and then the...
Is that your 5-minute rule, too, before you left?
Well, you know what? I had to go in because I had my son, and he went... So I was just like, oh, God.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try the styrofoam cups. I'm excited about that.
I know that Joe talked about it a little bit. Have you guys had, and I know that Joe, this is your castle and all that. Have you guys had stuff follow you home?
I have. And like I said, different occasions where that spirit box did the countdown like I normally do. I asked, I had asked questions, where did you come from? It said Randolph. I wasn't. I asked, okay, well, if you came from there, what kind of car do I drive? Chevy. It said red Chevy. So I'm like, ooh, you can catch a ride with me here. I've had a weird experience with somebody that I used to work directly for. She passed away 2 years ago. The last 2 years of her life was very sad, watching her go down snow. Very difficult. She did not like when I go to the Hinsdale house, so I wouldn't tell her when I would go to the Hinsdale. She was familiar with me going to Hillview Manor. She was familiar with Randolph, but she used to say every time I came back from New York, I was very heavy. There was something weird happening at her house. I had described the individual that I see and pick up there all of the time. I described somebody with weird, crazy, like Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean hair. Is how I see it. It's long and it's matted and it's like dreads, but not. It's weird. I was at the hospital with her, waiting for her family to come, or to see if they were going to keep her. And she was in and out of consciousness, being drugged and sleepy and resting. And I was just sitting there in the corner, and she asked me, because I say it's an African American man that I meet at Hinsdale all the time. She asked me, was there a black man at your event this weekend? And I said, what? Because it was weird. She just kind of popped up. And I was like, no. She goes, you sure? And she goes, he has long dress and he's standing over your head doing something. And I went, she had no way I ever told that story. I never tell her what I thought he looked like, any of that stuff. So that was a weird transition. She's spending more time in and out of realms, and she's also picking up what's now in the room, and that made me go home and do all kinds of stuff to clear myself.
Yeah, because what is he doing to your head?
didn't like that. I didn't like he was around in my space with her.
Yeah, no.
I would have rather battled him more than I unleashed something at your house. You know?
Yeah.
So that was that's an interesting kind of a weird story. Lots of levels.
Jeff,
do you have anything follow you home?
Not sure if it came home from Trans-Allegheny or not, but yeah, I had something back in maybe 2008, and it terrorized my son for about 6 months.
Oh.
Jeez.
And at the time, I didn't know how to clear a house or get rid of what was here, and ended up seeing a lady on TV who did it for people in need on the news, and ended up being one of my wife's co-workers. She didn't have,
Oh, wow.
And that lady came and did it for Zane, and got whatever was here to leave. But it seriously terrorized him. His toys from 2008 are still down here in the basement in bags because they were turning on and coming out from under his bed, and
oh my gosh.
And he doesn't want me to move him out of the house. He doesn't want me to touch him. Still to this day, and he's 17. So.
Wow.
So yeah, I've had it one time that I'm aware of.
But isn't that amazing? You go back 12 years ago, we didn't have the ability to protect ourselves. Even 15 years ago, I don't ever remember grounding myself after an investigation, after doing anything with the paranormal. And I think we've learned this in the last 10 years, how to protect ourselves. We opened up something new. We're saying, okay, there's a new level here. This thing can attack us. This thing can come home with us. Because in the day, when I did these investigations in the 90s, we didn't do anything to protect ourselves whatsoever. And I knock on plastic, wood, whatever. I'm thankful that nothing ever came home with me. Today, what do? We ground ourselves. We do our rituals. I think we've learned. I mean, 2008 is, it's only, 20 or 12 years ago,
right.
How far we've come. I mean, did you even imagine in 2008 that after you were at a location like that, to protect yourself, to ground yourself, and were you worried of ever bringing anything home? Because I don't recall too many places that we went to in those days where people say, okay, make sure you protect yourself and ground yourself. I don't think it existed, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the only time I remember, the only time I ever really, in that time period, it was when I was first starting with Dark Alley. I did a ghost tour at a local mansion in Akron area, the Perkins Stone Mansion. And, like you said, nothing I ever thought about before. But at the end of their tour, they actually had little bags of salt and spiritual things for people to. They said, if you guys feel like you have an attachment or your energy is off, this is how you use this thing. And they had a person staff there to actually go through the ritual with you. And I'm like, wait, is this something I should be doing?
Right.
Oh
my gosh.
Sure it wasn't for the margaritas afterwards?
I asked. I didn't see any tequila anywhere.
I think the thing that is in my house is my my grandparents. And I'm going to tell you, it's a good story. So we were at my mom's house, and I was like, I took a picture that was on my mom's thing, and I gave it to Lincoln. My son's like 16 months old. So I gave it to him. He looked at it, and he gave it a kiss. So it's like he's known that he's, what I mean? Like he looked at it, he smiled really big, and gave it a kiss.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like the picture.
Yeah. That's cute.
So they're watching over him. They probably wanted to set the toy up to freak me out.
Right. As long as they're freaking you out and watching over him, that's okay. That's
he looked all over the place. Like all of a sudden you'll see his head move up and he'll track something. around the house.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah, my daughter when she was young and we just when she was starting to speak, she would wake up crying and we run in and she'd be pointing to the corner of her room and say blue. And just she saw something blue like in the ceiling like and we just pointed and we couldn't figure it out to this day. I mean, I don't know what she was
wow.
seeing, but there was something. I mean, that's not just something that, kids would make up. I mean, she was too
Right.
little, too innocent to think of
Yeah.
anything like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just I don't know, it was weird. It's amazing how like you have that ability when you're a toddler and you kind of lose it, and here I am, 43 and I'm getting it back.
Right.
It's weird.
I tell you, that made my mom cry with happiness when she like kissed that picture.
Yeah.
See? That's great stuff.
That's
Though.
awesome, Mike.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
We're conditioned by life to tune all of that out. We have stresses, we have jobs, we have responsibilities, we have relationships. You can't always be in an etheric state, or then you will need lots of meds.
Yeah.
Because we do have to deal with the here and now too. So little kids are just not taught that yet. They don't have much except for being present in the moment, which is what as adults, especially what I find myself doing now, always trying to do, be present in the moment, because we're usually either thinking about what should have happened or what's going to happen and missing out everything else.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Hey Goose, with that, with your child there, when they saw the blue, you can actually ask them. The best time to do that is when they're ready to fall asleep, and you're sitting there and you're talking, and they're opening up. Ask them about the blue in the corner. You'll be surprised how they can retrieve the information when they're borderline going into sleep and somewhat awake. Because I did that with my son, because he used to have night terrors about his bed, because he at 2.5 years old, he told me he fell off the roof and he died.
Oh,
and
wow.
he was happy to be with us. So I used to ask him, and he said, why did you fall? And he said the ladder slipped. And he goes, I couldn't hold on. And I asked for forgiveness, and he was opening up to me. So just at that point when they're ready to sleep, and when you're talking to them at night and you're making them comfortable, you can ask that question. What was blue in the corner of the room you were pointing to? And watch them open up. They'll be half in, half out, but they're going to let you know. I seem to find that sweet spot where they can actually retrieve that information right at that point where they're ready to, fall asleep and they're somewhat of awake. It's amazing.
Twilight stage.
It is, and I'm not saying I use my son as a guinea pig to test out things. I just,
No.
it sounds crazy, but
Where were you 7 years ago?
Tell me everything. Tell me the lotto numbers now, quick.
I think she'd find it weird at 10 years old for me to be in her bedroom.
Yeah, I think you're
What
past
was
that
the
point.
blue light?
I think you missed that window.
I don't know what are you talking about a blue light?
Blue light, is that the beer in the fridge? What?
Picking out what home she's putting you at when you're older. That's what
Yeah, I think we're past that window, Goose. Scratch everything I said.
I'm gonna try. Do you think it would work? Like, my son sleepwalks a lot. Like, he will come out and talk to me while I'm pretty sure he's asleep, because he doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I should try it then, because he keeps telling me that he's having bad dreams, or he's having visions, he said.
Okay.
So I should ask him while he's asleep what it is.
And record
because
it,
he
too,
always
if
says
you
he
can.
doesn't know. Oh, that's a
Try to
good idea.
record it, because it sounds crazy and freaky. When I suggested to somebody, they actually had another voice come in. It was like feeding the child what to say.
Okay.
Now, don't do this if you don't want to know. And there's a great app out there called Sleep Recorder. If you know someone who's experiencing night terrors, put that app on your phone. It's $6. It activates when it hears noises or someone speaking.
Really?
Not just the alive person. You can actually hear disembodied voices will trigger this app. It's mind-blowing.
What is
It's
it called?
Sleep Recorder.
Okay.
Highly recommend it. Again, don't do it if you don't want to know. But we used it, and it's like, what? And some of the people I work with are like, who is that? And I'm saying, well, maybe you have someone with you in your room feeding this information to you. And we had a young girl that would say she couldn't sleep, and she would talk, why am I saying these things? And there was an older, grouchy voice yelling at her when she was sleeping, telling her to do things, telling her she's not good enough. And it was unbelievable. And we got her some help, and it doesn't happen anymore, thank God. But it's remarkable. That state, especially sleepwalking, they'll open up more.
Yeah.
But record it just in case no one's feeding him the information. It's very important that it sounds crazy and psychotic, but it happens. It happens quite often.
Yeah. And there are times where he seems like he just gets super angry for no reason, and even he doesn't understand why he's angry. So I wouldn't even think that was crazy if I did find out something like that.
Yeah, and don't listen to it at home. Take it somewhere to listen to it.
I would take it to the seminary and let Shelly listen to it first.
Yeah, just because you never know if something's listening, and don't give him the edge.
Right. Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you.
I probably freaked everyone out now.
I know. Good luck sleeping tonight, guys. Thanks, Joe.
I know. Uh-oh. I'll never be invited back.
Yeah, right. What are you doing next week?
Yeah.
It's like he got a lot of stories about what to do when somebody's about to go to sleep. That's kind of creepy.
Oh, I'm telling you. I've done a lot of studying on this, and that's where you're going to open someone up.
No.
That's where they're going to speak the truth, or they're going to tell you things they can't remember. It's almost like a hypnosis, because if you're going to hypnosis, where are you? You're borderline sleeping, you're borderline conscious. It's the same thing. That's the beginning of hypnosis. Yep. And it's scary. I got some great books on it, and it tells you what to look for, and especially sleepwalking's another one.
Yeah,
that's part of the beginning stages of you can put someone under hypnosis and find out more. Yeah. It's mind blowing.
It's kind of like a hypnosis kind of.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Self-hypnosis is a fascinating thing. Not saying I do it here.
Your show's almost over, isn't it? I didn't interrupt it.
Oh, it was over a minute. It was over a while ago.
We started a little bit late. It's okay to run a couple minutes longer.
We can do what we want.
And he was telling me when I was on the podcast, and he's like, "What podcast?" And I'm like, "I think it's about to be over." So.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up. But real quick, I wanted to go around and see if Joe or Jeff or Amy had anything they wanted to promote real quick before we signed off for the night. Anything coming up? I know it's rough with COVID, a lot of things getting canceled, but Joe, I know your business is up and running, and I know
we're running. Yep. Yeah. It's 2 hours a night I clean. I run UV light. I do the mister, the foggers. I make sure the place is safe. Nice. We can hold private classes in the back with family without masks, as long as they're all family members. Mm-hmm. It's the only way I can do that at this time. Right. But the paranormal, I'm still doing the live feeds. The next live feed is going to be on Paranormal Warehouse, August 15th at the Dunkirk Lighthouse. One of my favorite locations. Very connected to that location. I love the sunsets that happen there. Oh, yeah. So that's my next one. I'm going to keep it pretty low come September, October, because I'm very cautious on what might come back. I don't want to give it any fuel. Yeah. But with the cooler weather's coming back, the humidity starts to drop, this virus seems to thrive in that condition. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to give it the bonus running through my house, because I'll be divorced. My wife would kill me if I brought
it. Yeah. Yep. I hear you.
We understand where you're coming from.
Yep. Yeah, we both have wives in the medical field right now, so it's kind of
follow the rules. I say follow the rules. We're going to get through this. 2021 is going to be incredible. Yeah, we're all going to be like kids let out of school on the last day, running around not knowing what to do.
I already hear Alice Cooper pumping in the background, man.
Yeah, my wife actually works at a COVID testing site 3 days a week. Because she's an RN, and she wanted to do it. She's like, "This is what I went to school for."
Yeah,
it's scary.
one of the many reasons we're not doing the studio right now. That's why we're patching in remotely.
Yeah, we're smart about it.
Yep. Yeah. So, what about you, Amy? You have anything coming up interesting? You got your podcast coming on?
Well, it's a Facebook live show. I am working on getting a YouTube channel up and running, but Ramblings, Readings, and Reiki every Tuesday. I do Tarot Tuesday. And it's not just I pull a card. I wanted to make my show a little bit different because Whoa, hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Hey. Hey. How you doing, buddy?
Wow, that was pretty cool. I wanted to do different because everything that I do, I usually try to explain myself, the thought process, the theories behind it. So usually, especially when all of this stuff happened with the shutdowns and the state of the world and people's emotional states, I think, Cruz, that's what you're talking about right now. So many people, especially us empaths, right now are crawling out of our skins because you can't walk out of your house without catching somebody's bad news. Mm-hmm. Everybody's like jumbled up and confused and chaotic and uncertain. And even the best of us, when we're trying to do our thing and forget about it, it's still always there in the background. So I've been doing a lot of theme type shows. Hearing from your higher self, ego self versus, your higher self. I have specific meditations. I do the meditation before we do the tarot too with the group, which is really kind of fun. The most surprising thing is my audience is always the guinea pig for me trying new techniques.
Yeah.
Because how am I going to grow as a leader if I don't try, different things? It's a lot different when somebody calls you and wants a private reading, and usually they just want a standard reading. Here I can do what is, a card for this is your ego self, this is your higher self, this is your life path, this is what you need to surrender. Each week I've been doing different things, so it's kind of been really fun and really great to see that what resonated the most with people is they love the meditation. I thought, they're not going to like that, but I need that. I need that to help heal me and distress and calm down. And so it's kind of cool to see that they dig all of the different stuff, just to give them something outside of the normal, okay, here's this card.
Yeah.
Right.
So Tarot Tuesday, every Tuesday on Ramblings, Readings, and Reiki at 9.
Awesome.
Very cool. Like I said, flatlining because I don't want to. I want to be able to get to go see my daughter too. She's pregnant, so I don't want to.
Congrats.
I work with older people, and so there's a lot of, I try to limit how many I'm around.
Yep. Awesome. Well, everybody keep an eye out for Amy's podcast. I try to tune in every once in a while, every time I can, at least for a couple minutes, just to say hello. But definitely check it out. I'm gonna set some time because I want to feel the energy you're giving us. Definitely.
I get a lot of energy back from them. So
that's awesome.
Every week I thank them because it's not really about what I'm doing for them. I'm also getting so much back.
Right. That's awesome. Very cool. Go ahead.
I've noticed that Ashley Storm has said hi to everybody except me. So when she's on next week, I'm just going to sit there and go like this.
Oh, she doesn't like you. You didn't know that?
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
She's already asked me privately if we can just mute you the whole night.
Yeah, that's actually what we're talking about all next week, is how much she doesn't like you.
I'm just going to be like...
So, real quick, what about you, Jeff? Anything coming up for you, or are you just kicking back in the garage and building some awesome, beautiful boxes?
Just kicking back. But it was really nice to get to talk with all you guys tonight.
Yeah.
You too, man.
And you guys all stay safe. And
yep, you too.
we can do this again sometime, okay?
Yeah. I can't wait to see everybody in person. That'll be so nice, too.
I know, right?
It's going to be weird, isn't it?
Right?
When we get the break from this finally.
Be like this.
Right?
But you notice that you're recognizing their eyes lately? I've noticed people's eyes more and more, how incredible they are. I'm like, holy cow, I never noticed their eyes before. And
right? Because you can't look at their mouth when they're talking anymore. Yeah.
I mean, for all you know, they're sticking their tongue out at you. You'd never know. You never know.
Yep. Someone went to shake my hand the other day.
It's a test.
Yeah. Someone went to shake my hand the other day, and I was like, "What are you doing? We don't do that anymore. That's not allowed."
I know.
Kind of sad.
It's elbow bump, right?
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah. That's the COVID hello.
And it's really killing me that I can't. It's on automatic.
Oh yeah.
And I go, oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
Elbow bump.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being on. It was an amazing show. Got to do this again for sure sometime.
Yeah.
I like doing this kind of format. So there's just so much to talk about. So many different angles.
We know so many smart people.
I know we do, right?
We should get as many as we can on the show.
Bringing this show some street cred.
Well, somebody's got to smart up this program.
Right? You're not going to get intelligence from the three of us.
But no, seriously, guys, you all stay safe. Thank you so much for being on, and we'll do this again.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. Crypto heads, stay tuned. Next week we have special guest. We had her on the last panel discussion, Ashley Storm from Storming the Unknown podcast. She will be on next Thursday with us. So that is going to be amazing. We get her for the 2 hours by herself. Going to ask her the hard questions.
Yep.
Like during the pandemic, do you give up ribs, shrimp, or steak? We'll figure that out.
We're going to talk about her baby's cheeks.
Yes.
God, her baby's so cute.
That's her little mini me boy.
He is so cute.
Yes.
Oh, she acknowledged me.
Yeah, she did. She just called you punk. So
I know that includes you, punk.
All right, kids. That is all for us. We will spook you later, crypto heads. We'll see you next Thursday. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good night, guys.